Welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. So together we will go to the pDAI promised land, protecting freedom of speech and freedom of movement. That's what we sacrificed for this blockchain, and I'm seeing it being eroded in front of my eyes with the polarity of the discussion around pDAI. This is no longer for me about pDAI. This is about freedom of speech and freedom of movement. It's not about number go up anymore. It's about standing up for what you believe in and having the freedom to choose without being ostracized and without being considered a blasphemer. So I'm standing with Sommi because of what Sommi stands for. Not because of pDAI, but because he's an honest, genuine person and he's dying by the sword for the sake of everybody else. So I want to flip the narrative of this sinking with the ship to rising with the rebellion. So I've tried being objective and as neutral as possible to protect everyone up until now. I've tried my best to be as honest as possible and to lead with my heart. So I'm following where my heart takes me. I encourage anyone to come up and join, to speak with me. I'm going to share a few things. I'm going to keep things positive and I'm going to keep things calm. So you can come and join me. The link is in the description. I'll also put the link. Give me a second. Oh no, that's the wrong link. I'll just put the link. Give me 1 second. What I'll do, can I do this? Let me see. I'll put the link in the chat as well if anyone wants to come up and join. Here we go. Let's go to the pDAI promised land. All right, so the link is in the chat. So anyone, even on Twitter, who would like to join me, they can more than welcome to join me. I just want to keep this as a discussion of positivity. So, all right, let's go. So first of all, the core message. I'm going to start with the core message here. I'm just going to go through a few things. So stand with me for freedom of speech. So I sacrificed for freedom of speech and freedom of movement, and I'm watching it being eroded in front of my eyes. People can think for themselves and make their own choices. I admire your friend Sommi for standing with his convictions. I believe in more than number go up, and I'm willing to stand up and speak for that. The way that Sommi's being silenced, the way that people are being silenced on the chain for presenting an alternative perspective, people can get things wrong. Even Richard Hart, this is the reality of human beings. For us to just blindly follow what someone is saying on Twitter because he's our leader and then ignore everything else, for me, is not right. This is where governments fall. This is the direction that I don't want the consciousness of Pulse Chain to go. I think it's a dangerous direction. I think we should always encourage open debate no matter what. The way that people are being silenced and ostracized is not right. Blocking people, FUDing people, the chaos is everywhere. So let's have a look at this video from Sommi because, again, no matter what, thank you, Sommi. Thank you, Sommi, for standing up for what you believe in and standing up for the truth. Because even if Sommi's wrong, he's accepted that. He's accepted that he could be wrong, and that's totally okay. It's okay to be wrong. I'm also putting my hand on my heart and saying I could have this completely wrong, and I'm okay with that. I've decided, I've made my choice because I'm a free-thinking individual that can choose for myself what I can do. Everybody is also in the same boat. They're free-thinking individuals that can choose what they want to do. This perspective of silencing people because it's dangerous for the chain, I think is absurd. It's silencing freedom of speech, and I won't stand for that. I won't stand for that. So I want to stand for the truth. That's what I'll always do till the day that I die. So Sommi, remember this moment and mark this date. 23rd of March. So happy birthday to my younger brother. I love you, bro. I hope you appreciate my effort to help you to stand strong while the cowards ran away, fade the crowd, and survive the red candle. So I'm going to listen to this little clip from Sommi. This was my favorite moment in his video on one of his many most recent videos. So let me just double check and make sure that the sound should be there. But yeah, just let me know in the comments if there's no sound.
Hey, everyone, if you're on my Telegram, I hope, and my Twitter as well, I hope you truly appreciate, if we make it out of this hellhole for pDAI, I want you to really appreciate everything I've done for you, because I have caught the falling knife. I've bought myself. I've made exceptionally large amount of videos. I've lost followers. I've lost numbers of followers. I've never lost this much before. Fade the crowd. I'm not here to boost my reputation. I don't give a shit. It's a game. We're here to speculate. If we make it out of this, I want you to remember, okay? I want you to remember this moment. Not when the people come back at 1 cent and they want to put their pegs on the nipples again. Not when pDAI's at 3 or 5 cents and maybe the oracle's fixed and they get an idea that maybe Richard's behind it. I want you to remember now. Now, even when Richard says to sell pDAI, I want you to remember now. He says to sell it and he sold it with the OA. You remember Sommi stood strong. You will all remember that. You remember every single well, I'm not going to name their names. They know who they are. Cowards. They cheated. They said, I'm out. They don't really believe in Richard Hart. They don't believe in a decentralized stablecoin. They don't really believe in crypto. I do, and you do too. So when we make it out of here, you remember this. This will go down in history. Literally go down in history.
By the way, where was that chart? What do we got?
2. So when we make it out of here, you remember
higher lows. Just FYI, higher lows.
Remember this. This will go down in history. Literally go down in history. I love you all. Catch you soon.
All right. Thank you, Sommi. Thank you for standing up for what you believe in. He is going against the crowd, like completely 100% against the crowd. Like what's fascinating, the most fascinating thing about this is the information split is 50-50, but the sentiment split is like 99% of the majority of pulse chain influencers, Coles, whatever you want to call them, are against it. 1%, Sommi, is for it. That split has never been so incredibly massive. Why? Because everybody's just blindly following what Richard says. That might be controversial. I'm not saying that Richard is wrong. What I am saying is there is a high probability that he could be getting fed the wrong information. The people that I have seen feeding him that information, I have also seen deliberately diverting the crowd in every single sense of the word. So again, have a look at these. Have a look at these pDAI spaces. Every single time, if you go into these spaces, every single time, there's the same group of people always up there talking, always talking over each other, clowning on Richard Hart, clowning on Maria, calling Maria a scammer, calling Maria all sorts of names. Again, I have no problem whatsoever with what Maria did. Maria found out the information. Maria came on stream, didn't FUD in the background, didn't dump in the background, literally came on stream to address everybody's concerns, started selling, said what he saw, showed the numbers, showed the data, and everybody's just been shitting on Maria since then. That has been one of the most disgusting things that I've seen. People calling him a transvestite, a midget, all sorts of disgusting, horrible things. What kind of humans are we? Is this what we live for? Is this what we stand for? Just being pieces of shit to each other? I don't stand for that. I don't care. I don't care anymore. Like the disgrace of people, the way that they treat each other on this chain, I'm not going to align myself with that. That's not freedom of speech. That's disgusting. It's the same behaviors that have led the world into the dumpster fire from day one. And I won't stand for it. I won't let Pulse Chain become that. So thank you very much, Sommi. I can't probably, I mean, rise with the rebellion. Rise with the rebellion. You know, we all know this clip. We all know this clip. I don't know if I can monetize I want to monetize my channel, but yeah, if I need to say something like this belongs to Star Wars or whatever, but instead of sinking with the ship, because this is so inspiring, Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, hands down. It's the only movie in history where the bad guy wins, and it's just there's so many GOAT messages in it. So I'm going to play this, and this is the energy that I want to put out. Not I'm sinking with the ship. Screw that. I'm not sinking with the ship. I'm rising with the rebellion. Let's go, Master Yoda.
We'll never get it out now.
So certain are you? Always with you what cannot be done. Do you not think that I say?
Master, moving stones around is one thing. This is totally different.
No, no different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
You know, even this, having the faith of a mustard seed can move a mountain. These principles are everywhere in movies, just for the record. These principles are everywhere in quantum mechanics. This is the principle of faith. And so even despite all of this, there's still people that are standing up for something more, standing up for a new way of living, a new way of finance. For me, that's what's so important. I don't care anymore what happens to pDAI. I don't care. I'm here to stand up for a new world, a new financial system. I don't care about the dollar signs. I don't care about the money signs. It's what is truth that makes the most importance in my heart.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
All right, I won't play the whole thing. We've all seen this. Obviously, Luke fails because he has no faith. And then Master Yoda, being a little goat, absolute goat, lifts it out. And this is, then he lifts it all out. And, we've seen this before, right? So best Star Wars movie. So shout out to Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. So now we are rising with the rebellion. So now, again, I'm just going to stick with the positives. Have a look at this. Bobby Lucas, everybody's Uncle Bobby Lucas. The mindshare is growing, the energy is shifting, the freedom is blossoming. I am so grateful to the universe and to the righteous people of Pulse Chain who stand by and for freedom of speech and freedom of movement. Bobby Lucas, I'll pay 10 billion hex for a couple of pizzas, like maybe 2 large ones, so I have some left over for the next day. I like having leftover pizza to nibble on later. If you're interested, please let me know and we can work out a deal. Yes, please, Uncle Bobby. And I will wait till the day that it's worth as much as Bitcoin is. As much as Bitcoin is, Hex is a better Bitcoin. I might get blocked for that. I'll put some love hearts because I don't want to get blocked by Uncle Bobby Lucas because he does good content and I'll follow him. Love you, Uncle. Now, do you think he would be making this comment if there wasn't so much noise all over Twitter about pDAI? So everybody that's screaming and crying about ruining the chain, they're only looking and thinking from a linear perspective. Let's also go beyond this. Again, these are the numbers that they're not showing you. This number now has decreased by a further 120 million since yesterday's stream. That stream was, 12 hours ago when I did the last stream. It was 840 million. The day before, it was 860 million. The day before, 903 million. Now it's 720 million. This number, getting to zero, is the only number that I care about. That's it. I'm focusing on just this. This number continues to drop. When this drops, it will trigger some mechanisms within the MakerDAO contract, which will allow the flop auctions to begin. Something along these lines. Again, I'm still not 100% technical on the lingo. And this was another thing. So Sommi saying he's getting messages from people in his Telegram that Maria said that everything's working as normal. Other people that bring information to me saying this is literally what MakerDAO is doing. It's literally working. It's not an inflation bug, but people continue to spread the concept that it's an inflation bug. It is not an inflation bug. It is a contract working as it should. Everybody's making assumptions on what the intentions of those people are. Everybody's making assumptions on who this scammer is, this Undong or whatever it was, who this scammer is that apparently started rugging the system at an all-time low and then basically bridged out and then told everybody in the chats, revealed his identity to everybody. Name me one hacker in the history of hacking that goes and executes a plan so carefully to take over since the sacrifice phase, let's say probably three or 4 years to execute this plan. And then as soon as he executes it with masterful patience, masterful execution, the next day comes out and starts boasting about how he's rugged $8 million. Name me a single hacker on the planet with that. Name me one. But the people who breaking news shared this are the same types of people who were spreading the same FUD in all those Twitter spaces. Every single one of them. To be honest, the cognitive dissonance in these is too much. It's too much. People are inviting me to come in there and I go in there for just 5 minutes and people are shouting over each other. People are spreading misinformation. People are presenting facts as like it's 50% facts. It's like, the type of facts that they'll present. Let me think of an example. The type of examples that they would think, this is a pretty maybe dumb example, but a watch has glass. It only has glass. It has glass. That's it. They're not accounting for the leather. They're not accounting for this. They're not accounting for the strap. They're not accounting for the materials here. It's got glass. I'll show you the facts. It's got glass. That's what they're doing. And they're screaming over each other. They're yelling over each other. And it's the same people spending 16 hours a day in these Twitter spaces. It doesn't seem right. So I did get a sleep. I probably I don't know. Let's say between 6 to 8 hours sleep. It wasn't a straight sleep because my body clock woke up at a time, but yeah, I did get some sleep. Thank you, Stizzy. I want to honor this here. So Ivy, so Stephen, Sommi, I love and appreciate you both. The energy is right. I'm always going against the grain. We saw this with the zombie virus. Not many could stand strong against the current same energy. That's a beautiful comment, Ivy Lane. And I wanted to honor that comment because you're road tripping and you pulled over to make that comment. So thank you very much, Ivy, for saying that. I really appreciate that because this is so true. This is exactly what happened with the zombie virus. Everybody who was against it, their perspective wasn't even being considered. That's the principle that I'm standing for here. That's what I hated about all of that. I didn't care about being forced into, I did care about, actually, you know what? Yes, I cared about being forced into taking a vaccine in Australia. Yes, you could argue that it wasn't forced because I could have quit my job, but hey, you know, it's not so easy to quit a job and go elsewhere. It's not just like, oh, well, you just make that decision like that. I measured it for myself and I thought, well, I really like this job. It's a well-paying job. It's a great job. I don't want to lose this job. I don't mind the risks. What I didn't like was, one, being forced into it. So in other words, the same as what's happening here, people are being forced into silence. And two, people being ostracized and basically clowned on. No one in mass media recognized anything that anyone on the opposite side said. And that mass media, if they ever did present it, they basically, all they did was shit on those people. That's all they did. They never considered their perspectives. And guess what? All those people now, everything that they were saying is coming true. And guess what? All the people who were protecting themselves against all those big corporations were going in, changing governmental policies. They were altering freedom of speech. They were altering the law in their benefit to prevent anyone from coming for them after, because they also knew that there was major risks there that they didn't take into account. They also knew that, and nobody was allowed the space to actually say anything about it. That was what really pissed me off. The corporations took control of the narrative and they silenced everybody else. And that's exactly what I'm seeing on Pulse Chain today. I won't stand for it. If anybody wants to come and have a chat, please come and chat. The link's in the description. I'll put it again. Oh, damn. Yeah, the link's in the description. It's on the Twitter space. So yeah, this is the link here. So please come and have a chat. My face is still so wrecked. I just went in and was like, oh my God, my skin, it's still so wrecked. So, okay, now let me go back to the share screen. Even poor Sommi, like he's saying he's losing sleep. Like, you know, if we're going to get the finger pointed at us for being like bad and malicious people, then people really need to consider, like, when you think of the people on the other side, what are their intentions? What are they trying to do? Where do they want the money to go instead? Again, this is not a criticism on all of them. There's some of them that I do believe have righteous and pure intentions, and they do believe that they're doing the right thing and protecting the chain. There's also other people within that who are deliberately using that wording of protecting the chain to benefit their cause, which is chaos and FUD, so that they can accumulate things at different prices that benefit them. They're greedy extractors. This is something that Bud has pointed out in yesterday's stream. I strongly encourage people to go listen to yesterday's stream. It was really, 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 really eye-opening. And, you know, Bud is just an amazing voice of this community. So now, this one here. So the Richard Hart shared the wallet of the pDAI. The Richard Hart shared wallets of the pDAI minter. So isn't it strange that a scammer would want to earn stablecoin yield? So why would they start earning stablecoin yield? Why wouldn't they just bridge out, go to Bitcoin, and do what every single other hacker in human history has done? Why would they start earning stablecoin yield? I can't make the assumptions. I can't make the assumptions of what they have, but I'm not necessarily going to blindly follow this Vietnamese scammer narrative that's been presented to Richard. I'm not going to blindly follow it. So not only that, $756,000 of net inflow has come into the chain. So while this person, this individual wallet is extracting from here, then also on the other side, pDAI is being bought up. The chart is showing that. The chart is clearly showing that. The chart is absolutely clearly showing that. So again, it's pumping 0.002322. It continues to pump. So again, you shouldn't do what I'm saying. You should do what you say based on how you feel. What does your heart tell you about this situation? My heart tells me that there's people who are deliberately obfuscating. My heart also tells me that there's a lot of people within Pulse Chain who present themselves as friends who are deliberately trying to bring down Pulse Chain. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this very, very carefully. I don't name names. I don't name names because I'm only going with my heart, and that's not evidential enough for people to actually consider. But for me, it is. For me, it is the synchronicities, my heart, what God tells me. I follow that, but that's a very personal thing. But for me, it's a very objective thing. But from your perspective, it's a very personal thing. But I want you to consider this: where are some of your favorite influencers right now? Where are they? Why have they been so silent over the last few days? Really think about that. Some of those favorite influencers. Really think about where they are now, why they are silent. What are they doing in the background? What kind of information are they trying to ascertain in the background? Where are they? Where are these people? Why are there so many people deliberately fudding? Really think about this. Really question the people that are on this chain. Don't just take things blindly. Even me, don't take things blindly. But I think you can tell by now that the vibe that I put out, the honesty and sincerity of my words, the genuineness of my words, I'm standing up and believing in something more than just money. You know that I'm not here to try and extract from you. You know that I'm not here to do anything in my benefit. You know that I'm in here for the benefit of the whole. That's what I've always been about. You know that. You can feel that. That's why a lot of people love the kind of content that I put out. They love the positivity. So I'm just going to stick with that, and I'm going to continue to stick with that. So really think about that. Really, really, really be skeptical of everybody. Even be skeptical of me, but follow your heart. Follow your mind with clarity. Keep making your own decisions. Don't make decisions based on emotions. Don't make it based on FUD and greed. You're going to wreck yourself. All right. What else do we got here? So yes, Zach, I invited my boy Zach because I've invited a few people to come up. So all they do is clown on Richard and James. So we were talking about the pDAI spaces. It's not helping anything. So he also got up there and was mad. So he jumped into these spaces and he was mad. He defended because this is what they're doing. They're shitting on Richard and Maria. They're shitting on anyone who's presenting an alternative perspective. They're deliberately causing chaos. They are deliberately causing chaos. It's the same. And so again, it's like I try to go into these things and I try to listen, and it just does my head in because my brain is like, well, I can see that perspective and I can see that perspective. So my brain, my consciousness has this cognitive dissonance. But what is my heart telling me? My heart is telling me that there's more to this than meets the eyes. So I'm just going to continue to follow that. So, all right. Yes. All right. Let's go through some of these comments. So it doesn't look like anyone wants to come up. So that's all right. It might be just a short stream. So, okay. So it's rising up against this, but it's dropping against. Now it's flipped again. So this keeps flipping. I wonder why this keeps flipping. So now it's flipped again. So again, it's going up against Pulse Chain. Very interesting. So look at these. I mean, holy shit. Oh, wow. I mean, look at these rates, man. So I'll go through some of these comments. It doesn't have to be a long stream if there's no conversation around this. So what's up, Joshy? Good on you, bro. Charlie, I appreciate that. I don't, I thank you, man, but I don't feel like I am. Like it's been a struggle, put it that way. And I'm really grateful to Sommi. And again, you know, I'm a big boy. I've got my big boy pants on. And if this goes down and I stood with Sommi, I'm okay with that. I'm accepting those consequences, but I do not like the way that he's been ostracized. That's always been my nature. I can't stand the minority being shat on. I just can't stand it. I can't stand people being silenced. It's not right. There's this huge mind of justice that I have in my heart that gets so wound up and stirred from these things. And it's a very ancestral mind coming from Macedonia, where the people in my country were ostracized. They had their land taken from them. The name of our country is not even allowed to be called Macedonia. It's now called Northern Macedonia. What a bunch of bullshit. It went from the Yugoslavia to the former Yugoslavia to the Republic. Now it's Northern Macedonia. We used to just be Macedonia. The home of Alexander the Great, the king, the goat. And now we can't even have a name for our country. So I feel the injustice. Imagine having your land stripped from you. Imagine being forced into having to speak another language. Imagine having your culture stripped away from you and all your rights stripped away from you. That's a deeply frustrating thing. And I feel that in my being. It's in my cells. The genetic imprint is in my cells. That's why these things really wind me up. So again, I don't care. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm going to stand up for what I believe is justice. What's going on, Swear Aussie? And it's the Aussies. It's the Aussies. You know, in my mind, in my heart, I also feel Australia in this new world of consciousness has a very, holy shit, my skin is so bad. Oh boy, has a really special place in this new world of consciousness. Australia is a very spiritually blessed place. We're very open-minded. We're not Western religion. We're not Eastern religion. We're like really split down the middle. We're really split down the middle. And there's so many people here. There's a very strong sentiment of going with the flow, listening to the universe, and, oh, it's not meant to be. There's a very special sentiment around Australia in terms of spirituality. So this also, even though I don't like using terms like spirituality, this also feels like spiritual warfare for me. This feels like a spiritual war, but I'm not taking it like a war because I'm not going to fight. I'm not fighting. I'm just going to dance, and I'm going to continue to sway with the wind, and I'm going to move with the wind. And this is not about defeating an enemy. This is simply about presenting a better way that eventually will get totally adopted around the world. So Australia, the land down under. So pDAI is pulse chain. Yeah, I mean, look, freedom of speech and freedom of movement is pulse chain. So yes, we got someone here. So Low Life, what's going on, Low Life?
Yeah, how's it going, man? How are you doing?
Let me just, 1 second, brother. My speakers turned themselves off. What's going on, Low Life?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Can you hear me?
I can. What's going on?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Just chilling. Just hopped out of those other spaces. Man, that shit is straight toxic. Yeah.
My brother from across my New Zealand brother. I'm assuming New Zealand with that accent, right?
Yeah, that's the one, man.
Bro, what's going on? Yeah, they're toxic, right? The energy there is like, it just doesn't feel right. What's your sentiment around that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the one that House is running, that one's actually quite good. And the thing is, like, I saw you in there earlier, and like that's the reason I wanted to jump on your stream is I've been noticing like a couple of things on these streams over the last couple of days, ever since this FUD started. Basically, like as soon as House let Habibi in, and I think proof of no work for as far as I can see, and maybe Giga as well. I'm not quite sure, but Habibi in particular, like he's been pretty much spearheading this whole FUD thing. Soon as he came in, that's when the whole space turned toxic. And my question is like we were having like that was a whole separate thing. Like he was in the other space. What reason did he have to jump over? And like I was like, okay, so he jumps over. But when you ask these guys actual technical questions, they just beat around the bush and go in circles, man.
Brother, you have pretty much hit the nail on the head of the exact way that I've felt, and you've identified people that I've also identified as deliberately doing those things. And that's where I've become extremely suspicious. And it's those same circle of people that are also who've discovered this Vietnamese scammer. So for me, I'm just like, there's something not right with this. These people who present themselves as devs and technical, they're spending 16 hours a day in Twitter spaces arguing and then presenting facts. I mean, that guy, Habibi, he said Atropa is infinitely mintable, which is completely wrong. And I called him out for it, probably in a very aggressive and wrong way. But I completely agree with you, man. There's like this same circle of people that are spending 16 hours a day on these Twitter spaces, just spreading chaos and just going round and round in circles, speaking over people. Like it's creating an energy that is deliberately chaotic. And I want to fight against that. And let's just push that energy aside. Let's ignore that. The only good Twitter spaces I've noticed is Matty Allen's. And so now I'm also trying to put something forward that's a bit more calm and a bit more centered, because I don't want to be part of that energy. Because it also, like, how does it make you feel when you listen to it?
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like I'm not one to usually speak in a lot of these spaces, but I was like, I had to do something about it. Like I can give. And the reason I jumped on your stream is man stream as 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 man stream as.
All right, it looked like something happened there. Maybe he dropped out. So
stream as man stream as man.
Oh, maybe his computer's crashed. All right, so
man stream as man stream as man stream as man stream as.
Oh,
man stream as man stream as man stream.
All right, I just had to remove him there. So maybe if someone can, Low Life, in the, because I've got you up, when you just let me know. Let me just, there should be somewhere in comments where I can go to private chat. How do I go to the private chat? There should be two types of chats, but private chat. Here we go. Low life. 1 second. Let me just message low life. I'm just going to see if it's all good. And again, if anyone else wants to come up here, I'll continue to address some of these comments. I'll wait for low life to fix everything up and I'll bring him back up. So I felt sick in my stomach the other day, but now with some more clarity, we are definitely heading to one. Yeah, look, Swear. I'm just maintaining faith, bro. Again, I'm just maintaining the perspective that there's more to Pulse Chain than just these dollar symbols. There's more to it than this. And that's what I'm standing for. That's what I'm going to put all my energy into. So thank you, bud. Rising with the rebellion. Must have been my router. Let me back on when you're ready. Let's have a look. So we'll let him back in. Nah, it's the same low life. Maybe try leaving and then coming back in low life, and then I'll bring you back up. All right. Integrity is important. We sacrifice for freedom of speech and freedom of movement. Like, it makes every single person a hypocrite who's denying people's rights to speak. It really does. It really, really does. We know Atropa is linked to pDAI, but this constant shilling of pDAI is irresponsible because of the inflation bug. So there is no inflation bug. So I'll call you out on that elbow, which is lowering the Pulse Chain TVL and wrecking everyone's bags. People have the right to choose what they want. And if this is what the market is deciding, then this is what the market is deciding. I don't agree that the market should be pumping the stocks. I don't agree that the market should be dumping Solana. I think that the pumping Solana or Bitcoin, I think the market should put all their money into Pulse Chain, but I can't influence people to do that. People have the choice and the freedom to do as they please. So if this is what the market is doing, then we have to accept the market as it is. So people can present alternative perspectives, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for the sake of presenting an alternative perspective. So again, it's definitely not inflationary. OG saying you're hurting the chain. The chain is the dumper, and pDAI is the only thing that makes it interesting. This is another very interesting perspective, Digital Donkey. From day one, we were all-time highs for Pulse Chain from day one for what? Less than a week. And then since then, it's just been perpetual dumping. So these people who are telling us to go into core coins, all they've done is dump on me. All they have done is dump on me. What's the difference? The bug there, so we're saying pDAI has an inflation bug. It's not a bug. It's not a bug. It's the contract working as it is. Well, I love Bud's perspective of the hex bug. So these dumpers that are just continuously dumping on us. The origin address, they want to now use the origin address as dumping pDAI as evidence without even exploring or looking, well, maybe it's being dumped here, but it's coming back in another way, which obviously there's 478K that's just come into, or what was it, 573K that's come into the chain today. So they're not looking at those things. Again, they're just taking one perspective and that's biased towards their perspective and then fighting for that perspective. They're not considering multiple perspectives. So yeah, is that a bug? That basically the OA comes in, pumps the chain, and then it ends up just dumping again after a week? Is that where we're going to put our money instead? So that as a chain, we can just enrich all those greedy people who sacrifice the most, who gamed the sacrifice phase, who've basically taken over Hex short-term inflation to the point now. That hurt me. That hurt me what Richard did as well. My Hex stakes have been hurt by that as well. Why? He had to take action. The OA had to take action for the benefit of Hex, to protect Hex, because of these greedy short-term stakers who are just dumping the chart to hold up their greedy and excessive lifestyles. They're contributing nothing. They're taking everything. Is this what we stand for? That, to me, is a consciousness bug. So if people want to talk about an inflation bug, I'm going to talk about a consciousness bug of greed on Pulse Chain. And again, I won't stand for it. Who believes the hardest? That's it. LC Zizzle. We've all caught the falling knife. LFG. So good on you, bro. pDAI's popping. So Pulse Grandpa, appreciate you too, my bro. The chain is in the dumper. This is not true. Let's go, Aldo Rio. We love Sommi and Steven. Yes. I mean, I appreciate the love, but if anyone wants to come up here and talk, please come and have a chat with me. I want to keep this going for a little bit longer, but yeah, if not many people are. And look, honestly, guys, like, so Digital Donkey, the chain is already wrecked, Elbow. So even this, let's not even let's not even engage in that energy now. Let's not even engage in that energy because that energy is deliberately chaotic. Let's not even engage in that energy. Let's just put our energy towards what we believe in. So when you want to manifest something, so when Jesus talks about having the faith of a mustard seed that can move a mountain, he's not saying, oh, well, take into account what the doubters are saying and then just pretend that it doesn't exist and then, still also think of what you're thinking of and then believe that. He's saying, no, you just believe that it's already done. And this is the foundation of manifestation. This is the foundation of creating and transforming reality from a quantum perspective. Reality itself is consciousness. Reality itself is energy and light. And so let's just focus on the positives. Let's not even engage in that disturbed energy. Let's just focus on the positives and nothing else. The OGs were shilling pDAI until 4 days ago. Matty Allen and all the rest acting nonchalant and acting like they weren't promoting even a conference. Matty Allen has been neutral for basically until 3 or 4 months ago, and then he changed his tune, and I respect him for that. I have nothing but admiration for somebody who can pivot their perspective based on the evidence that they're presenting. He's now also delicately trying to protect his audience while also standing up for what he believes in. So Matty Allen, I've got nothing but time and respect for Matty Allen. So any criticism towards Matty Allen, that's on you. I don't agree with that criticism on Matty Allen, and I think he's someone that we should love and respect in this community because he's done more for this community than probably every single person in this chat. All right, so, and that's not a criticism on you, wall-to-wall TV. You can think what you want, but yeah, I just don't agree with that perspective on Matty Allen, but you're welcome to have your own perspective and opinion. So the boys on the spaces are really immature. This is what it feels like. It's deliberately chaotic energy, deliberately chaotic. So Richard is tired of some hexagons. Probably is, man. Probably is. So I'll go back to the chart so we don't have to look at my munted up face. All right. So Richard is tired of some hexagons. So, Sway, what's going on? Oh, whoa. What happened? Here we go. Sway, what's going on, bro? Can you...
My mic was muted. Hey, mate, how are you?
Oh, here we go. Massive lag. I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good. I'm just enjoying the show, I guess.
Nice to have you here, man. Nice for always all the continued support. And I absolutely love your logo, just FYI.
Yeah, it sort of, symbolizes our belief, I guess.
You sound like you've got a bit of an accent.
Yeah, it's the first part of my name there. So it's the
Swedish.
IKEA. Yeah.
Swedish Aussie. Now it all makes sense. Awesome, bro. Awesome. I love it. So tell me.
Mr. Allenke.
Say again?
Mr. Allenke, IKEA.
Mr. Allenke, IKEA. Yes, great. I mean, those shops are just like goated around Australia pretty much. So tell me, man, how's this whole thing making you feel? Have you tried to be objective? Have you tried to take both sides of the perspectives? Have you tried to look at both angles? And then if you have, how have you ascertained and come to the conclusion that you've come to?
I think when everything was unfolding the other day, I felt pretty sick in my stomach and I saw the prices falling and I was trying to step away and just think for a bit. I had my hand on the sell button. I didn't press it, so that was good. But once I saw Richard tweeting, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, oh, I feel much better. When I saw Richard's tweets, I'm like, this doesn't make sense at all. So my intuition told me like, yep, we're all good. We just need to shake out people. And then all the rage and shit I saw on the channels and spaces, I'm like, yeah, they can do what they do. It's fine. I think it's needed though. If we want this to happen, we need to shake out people. It is what it is. People need to walk their own path.
What was it about Richard's tweet that made you feel that way?
Can't put a finger on it. I just had the feeling.
Interesting. Even those tweets have been like extremely polarizing, and there's been debates even about the intentions of those tweets. It's really, really fascinating. Like everywhere there's been a debate on every single point that's been made.
Yeah, well, like, I think you gotta have an open mind, and instead of just continuing with what you already believed, you like, oh, I have an open mind. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I feeling?
Yeah, and really following where your heart goes as well, not just blindly following the information, because it's interesting. I mean, Sommi also made this point about there being like a Twitter Richard and then a communicating on the blockchain Richard. And the people who are like, oh yeah, Twitter Richard is right, are totally against. It's the same people who are totally against Richard is communicating with us on the blockchain Richard. So it's really, really interesting. And you look beyond that and you look what are those people who are presenting that? What are they trying to shill us instead? So it's really, reading the intentions behind the words.
Yes, exactly. And it still doesn't add up. Like what he's saying, his language is totally different. It's just like, he's just asking you a bunch of questions. So if you want to distance yourself from being a founder of a new stable coin and not become the same as the founder of the previous DAI, end up on a beach in Puerto Rico, you gotta make that clear.
Yeah, I love it. Low life.
Just checking if you guys can hear me now, man.
We can.
Yes, sure can, bro.
Finally. I'm doing it off my phone now. There's an issue with my computer.
No problem, man. So where were we in that discussion? So I think I was asking you about I think it was about how the energy of the spaces was feeling, perhaps.
Yeah, man. So yeah, back to it. So basically, like, I mean, I'm a pretty technical dude. If somebody comes out with that kind of FUD, I'll be like, okay. And when I was going into these spaces for a long time, man, it was just going in circles of just like shitting on pDAI supporters. And I was like, man, this is like, it's going nowhere. And at that point, it was just getting like unbearable. So I jumped into House's one and they were quite productive in there. And at that point, I saw Habibi come through and he started doing the same thing in there. So I started asking him technical questions. And at that point, he couldn't answer. At that point, he actually couldn't answer. Like, I wanted to jump on and actually give you guys an example, is because a lot of the guys have been saying, and it's all over Twitter as well. DeFi Zion, I think he said, I'm not, don't quote me on this, but he was one of the guys who was saying that when the joy gets to 0 is when the auctions start. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
Okay. So to my understanding, once it gets to 0 and the auctions start, the assumption is they can't print any more pDAI. We don't know that for a fact, but that's what the assumption is, right?
So just on that, so they're not printing pDAI. So all they're doing is they're putting collateral into the vault and then they're taking out the pDAI. And then with the pDAI, then they're selling that pDAI and bridging it off. So this joy number going down to 0 is important then for that process of the collateral that's being put into the vault to basically go to the next step. So there's
Sommi
the
had a
TVL
great analogy on this as well.
Go on, sorry.
He compared it to Hex. Yeah, Sommi compared it to Hex. Like, oh, you're burning Hex, and then minting Hex out of nowhere. It's the same thing. Like, if you don't understand the system, you can't say it's wrong.
Exactly. So I asked that question, and they actually said, and there was quite a few people in there as well. Well, I'm glad they said it in front of everyone. He said that the auctions can start when the joy drops down to around about 500 million. And then I asked them, I go, okay, so where did you get that information? And they couldn't supply the information.
Interesting. The only person that I've seen who's been able to present solid information, which every step of the way has been proven, is 99 Capital.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, man. And like the reason I brought it up on your stream is for anybody who's watching is just to be extremely cautious when you go into these spaces, because there are malicious actors out there. What Richard Hart is doing is nothing short of revolutionary when it comes to this blockchain. So there's obviously going to be a lot of eyes on there. A lot of people want him to fail. A lot of people want us to fail. So I would just go into everything and be as critical with your thinking as possible to come to a conclusion on your own.
But do you think it matters though? Like for the actual pegging itself? Like, I don't think it matters.
No, I don't think so either. Like at the end of the day, I mean, we're limited to what we know about it anyway, right? Like, and the way I see it, these guys have come in, they've started fighting it, but they don't have any actual evidence to the contrary. So we can just carry on believing whatever. I mean, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The whole point of it is you got to believe in something, right? And that narrative is too good to just let go.
Yep, I agree.
100%. And there's still, I mean, the MakerDAO contract is working as it should. That's the thing. So again, the inflation bug is not a bug. It's literally just working as it should. Like you said, Swear Aussie, it's almost like saying hex burning and minting is a bug. It's actually just the contract working as it is. It's the same as the MakerDAO. So it's not just being like printed out of nowhere, minted out of nowhere. It's literally just executing functions on the contract, which are executable if you have control of the contract. And that was one thing that I picked up from Housing Stream, is that basically people couldn't understand why this was happening and why they weren't able to do it. So that also is just like, this is very strange. So then this Vietnamese kid who's done all of this, executed this plan over 4 years, goes and reveals his identity to everybody on Telegram. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This shit to me was just absolutely crazy. And Habibi was in there and he was like, yo, this guy, like a source of mine, he came to me and he told me the guy's details and he's been in this chat since like 2020 and this and that. And it's just all rubbish, man. Like, no factual information. These guys are very good at spin. They give you like half truths and they ride on emotion. So I would just suggest anybody listening to these dudes, man, to just be extra careful.
This dude could have made more money just trading pDAI, to be honest. Just buy low and then, oh, okay, I know it's going to go high, so let's just sell it 3 cents.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And
that's the reason I think that there's malicious intent behind it.
Yeah, it's not a guy. It's just, theater at this point. I think it's just, selling, bridging out, creating fear, buying up supply, making it easier for the peg to happen. Shaking up people, needing less collateral, done.
Yeah.
We can't have these big dumpers, whatever it was, when we're on the way up. When it happens, that will create too much damage.
Yeah.
Sorry, just real quick, Stephen, just on a side note, I just wanted to thank you, man. Like, you've actually been like a true pillar of the pDAI community. Like, you stood strong when everybody folded. It's unbelievable what's going on up there. And you and Somni both, like, credit to you guys, man, because you really held it together and come through with factual information. And 99 Capital as well. So just thought I'd just get that out there and just thank you guys, man, because we're all one big family, man. We all got to win together on this. We got to stay strong.
I agree 100%. Yeah, I was holding my finger on the sell button yesterday or the day before, and then I saw your short video. Like, this is not a time to panic. I'm like, okay, step away for a bit.
Oh, man. I really appreciate that, boys. And, it means a lot to me because, again, this, like we were talking about with Bud on yesterday's speech, this is so much more. I was never an overnight peg guy. I always believe in nature's flow and things getting there sustainably and properly. And if this works, this means so much more than just, I just made myself an 1000x. This is so much more than that. What it actually stands for in principle, everything on Pulse Chain, the Atropa ecosystem, what it actually means for the world is so much more important to me than number go up. So those are the things that I really want to stand for. So yeah, it's been very difficult. So you guys have no idea how much the support means to me. It really means a lot because there's been a lot of inner turmoil. You've probably been able to even witness that in the way that I've been speaking. So I really appreciate you boys for giving that support coming up.
We felt it too, man.
Yeah, for real. It's been crazy. I haven't had any proper sleep in the last 3 days.
I had a chat to a friend the other day after all this stuff started, and then we came to the conclusion it doesn't make sense at all. Like, everything that's been said doesn't make sense. So we're like, okay, I'm just gonna disconnect, walk away from the computer, and just play with the kids and mow the lawn or whatever. And it felt so much better.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said about that as well, man. Like we always say, go touch grass. And there's so much truth to that. The vibe of nature. Like yesterday, I did a 25K walk. And when I saw the Richard Hart fight, I was just like, I was so calm. I couldn't believe how calm and peaceful I was. I was like unbelievable. And so I trusted that calmness. If there was something actually wrong with it, I feel like I would have felt it like, oh, wow, this is really a time that I need to actually take action. And Richard is right. But I felt like even he was being deceived.
The only bad thing is I missed the super dip there, but that is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're on the topic of scams, especially, right? Like, I was actually in BitConnect in the early days of crypto.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I got scammed in that. And to be honest, like I was really hopeful that it wasn't a scam because when they pulled everything, it was because of a letter sent by the Texas Attorney General or something to the so-called company and whatnot, and they just went out there and they're like, oh, for this reason, we're going to stop operations. And the reason it went to zero was not because they rugged or anything like that. It's because people out of fear rugged each other. And I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with that around that time, like the key players and that, like Trayvon and a couple of other guys.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard
Basically,
the story.
they tried to rally the community behind it afterwards, but it was already done and dusted, and like we just couldn't bring it back from the dead. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I was hopeful for that, but then when I look back at that, there was key signs of it being a scam. Like you can kind of tell, like when you really look into it, you can tell it was a scam. You're basically giving Bitcoin to buy a BitConnect coin, and then they're going to pay you back more Bitcoin. So there's a clear strategy of a pyramid scheme going on there.
Mm.
But
Have you stepped away from this and tried to draw any like parallels? Like, does it make any sense?
Yeah, so that's the reason I brought it up. Is right after it happened, Richard Hart actually went on a stream with Trayvon. This is a long time ago. This is like on the early days of Hex.
Yeah.
And he touched base on the whole subject, and he said like how it was a scam, why it was a scam, all that kind of stuff. So that was one of the turning points for me to start like following Richard and like believe everything. Well, not believe everything, but like start doing my own research and understanding crypto on a higher level. And if I'm comparing the two, because that was one of the biggest scams in crypto history. If I'm comparing the two, this doesn't have anything, not even anything remotely close to what was going on BitConnect.
So
Yeah,
even
totally different.
Trying to be as objective as possible, there's, I mean, even not even from whatever the points were against BitConnect. So even disconnecting from that, okay, so we don't have that. Is there still anything here where you're just like, oh, this potentially could be something scammy? Is there still anything there that you could potentially see that you might be like blind to?
In my personal opinion, the only thing that I could say is from following Richard for so long, I don't think he would have left anything like this up to chance. Now, that being said, I don't think he definitely isn't working alone to create this blockchain. He's probably working with a bunch of people. I'm with Moon King on this one, is where if the worst case scenario, as far as I can see, is there could be a war going on internally. Someone that he worked with, maybe they have gone against them. That's the only thing that I can see. But then if you dissect that thought, why do it now? Why not do it at the top?
That's always the part that makes no sense to me, man. That's really always a part. You had 1 cent, which is higher than what it is now. So you had two previous all-time highs to do it. Why do it now at a low? Why?
And also those wallets, wouldn't they have like if you're sharing those keys, wouldn't you have multi-sig on them? So that this can't happen. So yeah,
absolutely, man. I mean, Hex is operating flawlessly. So somebody who creates a blockchain is going to take into account all the, especially when you're forking Ethereum, right? You know that there's working protocols on there and there's room for exploits. He spoke about that stuff a lot, and after the sacrifice, it still took 2 years for the chain to come out.
Yeah, there was definitely an intention. Why would he fork it otherwise? Why wouldn't you start from scratch? Like he wanted to have this.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't say for sure. Like Somni is pretty confident that Richard is running it. Like I can't say that for sure, but I think that's another thing. Is we should all take that. Yeah, we should all take the fact that whether RH is behind it or not, that should not be in the question here. Yep, what we should focus on is pDAI to $1.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that everything is working as intended.
Yeah.
And to protect RH, to be honest, like we shouldn't mention him in that context because
absolutely,
we don't
man.
I
mean, this is revolutionary stuff. Like if people know that he's the one behind it,
he's a target. Then
exactly.
Yeah, we saw what happened with the DAI founder.
Exactly.
It's a threat. Like they don't want a decentralized stable coin. No one wants that. Oh, we want, but they don't.
And how about Atropa? Have you guys? Are either of you guys in Atropa? I'm pretty sure you are, Swear Aussie.
Yes.
Low life.
Both Atropa and Teddy Bear.
What about yourself, Low life? Do you have an opinion on Maria and Atropa?
See, that's another angle to me that doesn't make absolute sense. I mean, a lot of people are looking at just the MakerDAO and the Aave contracts and all that kind of stuff, but I watched his what do you call it, the presentation that he done in Amsterdam. If you listen, like if you follow what he's saying, basically we don't need any of that stuff to get it to peg to $1. It could be done through the Atropa system. So I'm not technically savvy on that kind of stuff. And that's one thing I have been looking at in the background is like the like Treasury Bill, Atropa and all that. There hasn't been much movement in terms of value there. It's only the dollar value that's really dropped a lot. Not so much in terms of the Atropa tokens. So
yeah. Even on that, despite all of this, Maria continues to keep cooking. And this is something that I made a video on the other day, the mintable token. So this is obviously one of the points of FUD against Maria, that Treasury Bill can be minted. I mean, I've made videos on this. This is a well-known fact. We know Treasury Bill can be minted. There's multiple ways to look at that. So he's used it to basically push liquidity into different parts of the ecosystem. And so I look at that as like, well, that's what a Federal Reserve does. They print money and then they push it into different parts of the economy to strengthen that part of the economy. That's how I see what he's doing with Treasury Bill. And now everyone has the opportunity to basically mint their own tokens. Now, I have to be very careful with the language here, because as I've gone through some of these tokens, there's some in there that I've noticed where you can mint Atropa, you can mint Teddy Bear. Now, it's not like you can mint it freely out of thin air. You're actually burning, say, the Teddy Bear. You'll burn the Teddy Bear for this token, and then you'll basically buy the Teddy Bear back from the liquidity pool. So I need to investigate that a little bit more, because it actually means that it's reducing the supply. And actually, I need to look at that. So I don't know have you guys actually done any of that minting stuff that I've been showing videos on recently?
I've had a look at it, I've played around with it, but I haven't actually done the minting. And also Maria did mention that during the Amsterdam presentation as well, that Treasury Bill is mintable. So how that became FUD is beyond me. Like, he clearly said that himself.
Exactly. And then again, look at the people that are actually spreading that as FUD. Look at those people. They're the same people who keep spreading the same chaos in all of these Twitter spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people, if whoever's watching this video, you should go and check out his Maria's presentation in Amsterdam. It'll give you a better understanding of how the Atropa system works, and maybe a bit of background on Maria, and then you can make your own judgment call on where he stands in your mind, right? Like, because I think he's a good actor. I don't think he's done anything malicious. And yeah, man, I mean, as far as we know, Atropa could be doing its thing in the background.
Exactly. And I also don't think he's done anything bad. So here we go. Oh, Sunny, I got a quote here from Sunny. We got to read this. So the whole ecosystem is a stable coin. Zoom out. The new coins are stable. Burn one to mint one. But there is a multiplier. So the redeem isn't worth it for the trader, only the owner. Interesting. So it's like trying to take traders out of the equation. That's what Maria is trying to build with the Atropa ecosystem. So again, the whole ecosystem is a stable coin. Zoom out. The new coins are stable. So you burn one to mint one. So in other words, with some of these teddy bear ones, you would burn a teddy bear to mint the other token. And then there is a multiplier. So you get those multipliers with the teddy bear, for example. So other redeem isn't worth it for the trader, only the owner. So yeah, in other words, redeem or like minting is not worth it. So it takes advantage of the arbitrage. It pays folks to arbitrage and burns it to the contract. So yeah, this is still something that I've only just started recently looking into this and investigating this. So I would encourage people to do this. So again, like, is this like Maria just keeps working in the background, and that's another thing that I'm just really against the level of aggression and hate and resentment that's been getting directed at Maria. I think it's really, really wrong. So I'd encourage you guys to, Swear Aussie, I didn't see the chat. So Swear Aussie has to leave. So thanks very much, brother. Thanks for coming up. So if anyone else wants to come up, more than welcome to join. So, yeah, so I would encourage you to check that stuff out, Low Life. I did a video on that. It's actually really, really simple. So it's really simple. And yeah, you basically can, you're arbitraging new tokens. Low Life had to go as well. So maybe he just disappeared. So, all right. I'll go through again more of these comments. I'm gonna bring some charts up so I'm not looking at my full face. If anyone wants to jump up in here, so please feel free to. Where were we up to? I'll finish up these comments, and if this is going to be the end of the stream, then so be it. So pDAI can peg before end of 2025. I mean, that would be fantastic if this is possible. So Bud P, I believe there are many shades of gray, not that binary. So yeah, interesting. So we got Bud in here now. Nice. All right. What's going on, Bud?
How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I won't be long-winded, but I think there's a conversation to be had about what's happening and why it's happening. And whenever you're close to the target, whenever you're going to start getting attacked, right? It's going to ramp up. And I don't know how else to say this other than to just say, those who are pushing chaos, they are the agents of evil. And when you have an ecosystem like this that's being built that can bring light and free humanity and do a lot of really positive things, you're going to get pushback. You're going to get attacked. And, you know, evil works in a lot of ways, man. And it can work through people. And I made a comment there earlier that you put up about life being binary, and there's only order and chaos. And you should divide people into one of those two categories. There's been a constant debate about it, and I know you're a philosophical man. Interesting. Whoops. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. All right. Yeah, my screen popped up on the YouTube. You have this opportunity here where you're going to see so many good people have so many good things happen to them. And all of these people that are only concerned about themselves and are choosing greed and the aesthetics of life, their greed is facilitating this evil to work through them. And anything that it can do to push the good folks down, it's only going to ramp up and get worse. So joining these spaces and listening to these agents of chaos, it doesn't do anything for your mind. It doesn't do anything for your knowledge. You know, there's enough to learn just by going to reputable people like yourself, like 9iron, Somi. It's so hard to just learn through good sources. But if you let these people have any mind share, it's only going to hurt you, and it's only going to slow down your learning, and it's only going to bring negativity.
Yeah, 100% agree, man.
That's exactly how I felt within 5 minutes of joining. Not even within 5 minutes, within 1 minute of joining that space, I was like, this is not the vibe that I want to even be involved in. I can feel how it's literally like tearing my mind in two directions, and it's just clouding my clarity. It's clouding my emotions. I'm like, this is that's it. I'm done with those spaces with those types of people. I'm not interested in that anymore.
Higher level sociopathic behavior.
Absolutely.
Great way to say it.
And even talking about order and chaos, like this is not this is bound to happen. If this is something that is truly going to happen, this is inevitably going to happen on the way. It's not going to be a straight line up here with everybody being happy and, oh, look, it's going to get to $1 and, oh, isn't this fantastic? And it's just going to be happy, 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 happy. And we get there and it's $1. It's not going to work like that. Those forces are going to pull everything down as it's going on the way up. This is exactly what we're seeing right now. That's exactly what I'm feeling. Just the clouding, the false evidence, the misrepresented facts. It's so clear in my mind now that there's definitely agents of negativity that are trying to deliberately cause chaos to bring this whole system down. Again, really think about where some of your favorite people are at this time. Where are they? Why aren't they speaking? Really think about that. I encourage you to really think about that. There's people here who present themselves as your friends. They are not your friends. They are not Pulse Chain's friends. Really think carefully about that, please.
I think that's extremely important. And I would encourage everybody to take the time. Like one of the books I just finished was, it was Jordan Peterson's book on, it was over the Old Testament.
12 Principles of Life?
It was over the Old Testament in the Bible. Okay.
I'm asking you what the book is called. Sorry, Jordan. Over the Principles of. Over the Old Testament.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the name, Stephen. I'm sorry, but it was a book about. He covered the Old Testament of the Bible. Okay. And it'll come to me. I just need to let it get to the front of my mind. But instead of just trying to find dopamine fixes by listening to people that say negative things, right? I mean, that is, as humans, we're geared for that. Like, that's what we want. That's why the media sells that to you. They constantly push this chaos narrative, the Chicken Little stuff, right? Because it garners attention and you get a dopamine hit from it. While we're in this time, as things are being built here, take the time to invest in yourself and invest in becoming the person you want to be. And like one of the things Jordan did so well in covering in that book was about how there's really just these two paths. And inside of every man, woman, person, there's good and evil. And you either choose the path of order or the path of chaos. And all of the stories in the Old Testament cover the story of Cain and Abel, the story of Isaac, right? Like all of us inside of us, we can choose the life we want to live. We can choose the information we want to download. And we can choose to be the light. We can choose to be helpful to each other. Or we can choose greed. And we can choose the path of chaos. And money is only going to make who you are stronger. And you need to work on, everybody, myself included, obviously. I mean, I'm still reading books about it. But, take the time for the self-improvement. Figure out what's important to you. Figure out who you are. Serve your purpose. It's not about shiny cars and fancy things, man. It's how do you add value to this world, and find your passion, right? Like this blockchain and what's being built, this decentralized financial system, it's really the same thing as humanity. That's what makes humanity great, right? It's the decentralization of humanity. Like the best things in this world come from the greatest freaks, right? But we have to protect them. We have to give them the room to become who they are so they can create these beautiful things. Like Pablo Picasso cut his damn ear off because he was schizophrenic, right? So, but look at all the beauty that he created. So you have a chance, and I think it should be a lifelong mission to continue to self-improve and then that's how, Stephen, you asked me in the other video, like, how am I so confident in what I believe? And it's because I'm able to put people into one of two groups. You are either good or you are evil. And that is it. And if I feel like you're gaslighting me, if you're lying to me, if you're serving your own selfish purpose, if you're not acting in a better in the better interest of all humanity, then you obviously go into the order of chaos, right?
Do you know what's, again, philosophically speaking, because this is actually a really enjoyable conversation. So first of all, is this the book here, bud? 12, hang on a second. Where is it? Why is it not showing? It's 12 Principles, 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos by Jordan B. Peterson. Would that be it?
I have it on my phone. I will look it up, Stephen.
Please, yeah. Even so, this statement of the chaos and the order, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but even expressively going down to Jesus himself, Jesus was the force of God. Jesus was the force of order and love, and he brought that to the world, and he got crucified. And even on the cross, he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." So even then, I'm just like, like there's this part of me has this battle of blocking and muting and ignoring, and really just like, even those people need saving. Even those people need saving, because even the chaos can be brought to order. Even the darkness can be brought to light.
The book is We Who Wrestle with God.
We Who Wrestle with God. What an awesome title. We Who Wrestle with God.
It's a fantastic book, man. Like, one of the best ones I've read.
Wow.
Yeah, highly recommend it. It'll just give you perspective. It's okay to, when you talk about what Jesus did, he talked to those people, and he was the constant promoter of the light, right? But Jesus wasn't giving a microphone to evil. And when you start taking in that chaos that those people in spaces are pushing, and we're talking about it, we're amplifying their message. And they're doing is spreading fear. And it's just like you covered earlier here, rising with the rebellion, changing the narrative, right? Like, that's a really great idea, man. And we're not sinking with the ship, we're rising with the rebellion. And we are the people, like, we are the movement that's trying to, like, this financial system is the first real shot at freeing humanity. It's really that important, right? It's really that important.
I agree with Bud on that. There's nothing more important in the world right now than to make sure that this succeeds.
I feel that.
So you have to be so careful with, because there's so many people that can't discern yet. And it's not that they don't have the ability, but they haven't put the work in for themselves. So all of these, I believe we all answer for what we do in this life when it comes to the end. So these people that are purposefully lying and betraying their fellow man, there's going to be a price to pay for that, man. And you can either stand up at the end of this thing and be proud of who you were, or, you got some explaining to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel that. How do you feel about all of that? So for you as well, Low Life, you said it's the most important thing in life at the moment. What makes you feel that it's the most important life? And I'll be right back, guys. I'm just going to grab myself a drink of water.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Bud is saying. Like, money is the backbone of modern society, and basically that's a tool that they've used to enslave us. And I mean, we all believe a dollar, the US dollar, is a dollar because we believe that, right? And now we've found an alternative, and that is literally what can break people free in terms of communication, in terms of trade and things like that. In the modern world, that's like the best option that we have. So that is one of the key reasons why I think that, you know, it is by far one of the most important things going on in the world today.
Yeah, and you know, there's so much opportunity right now, and if people will just have the courage to get invested, to bet on this, and I'm not saying to put yourself in a jam financially, but you know, take the time to learn, find the right sources, get into this deal. There's huge gains that are going to come. I don't know when. Well, I mean, if you got in yesterday on pDAI, what are you up 130% in 24 hours? I mean, that's pretty good, man. But when you achieve a point in your life where you become a sovereign individual, meaning you're not exchanging your life for a dollar, then you get to really find out who you are and what's important to you, and who do I want to become? What do I want to work on? Like, there is no thing as there's no such thing as retirement. You should be living your passion, and this opportunity will give a lot of people that, where, okay, I'm financially stable. I don't have to be the wealthiest person in the room. I'm able to go and chase down what's important to me, right? And then as we enter this age of Aquarius and there's this decentralization and humanity starts to rise, and you get all of these sovereign people working on their own passion, it's just going to be great for humanity.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time with this. It's important to me, and I just wanted to share it. And I hope those that are here listening to Stephen will take the time to just work on yourself and figure out, you're going to become financially stable. And if you get a bunch of money and you're not sure what you want, and shiny cars and new objects don't provide anything for you. Like, you can buy a whole bunch of shiny stuff, but man, that buzz is only going to last for a short period of time, and then you start to feel incomplete, and then you start to resent the money. But if you use the money to buy your freedom and become sovereign, then you can be whatever you were designed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, touching on that subject, like, the way we're all living in the current world, in the current system, we're just basically oiling a machine that's not working in our best interests. We go to work for money, they inflate the money, whatever you save is worth nothing by the time you retire. If we can somehow collaborate and make this new system work, even people who are late to the party, all they got to do is switch from working for the US dollar to maybe working for pDAI. It's not going to inflate. Well, maybe like a much more of a controlled inflation, or like a community-based inflation, or something like Pulse X that doesn't inflate at all. So what you put in is what you're going to get out. So I guess ultimately what I'm saying is the blockchain is going to provide you a fair shot at life rather than being controlled by a elite few to oil their machine.
That's a great way to say that.
Beautiful way of putting it. And you know, I feel like this even goes beyond our conceptions of what finance actually is as a linear system. I believe it really goes even beyond that. Like, I feel like we can even create something here on Pulse Chain that gives birth to something that the world has never even seen before. Even the concept that you spoke about yesterday, Bud, of this being, it gives nations the capacity to stabilize value. I think that's a very important and powerful concept. But I feel like, again, there's even more that's happening on Pulse Chain that can go even beyond even the concept of what a dollar is, like changing the idea of linear economic systems, and economic systems that just cycle money to the top and it stagnates there and it doesn't flow back down. I think we can even do those things. We can do so many wonderful things on Pulse Chain. That's what I'm seeing everywhere that I look on Pulse Chain.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It gives us the vibes of Bitcoin in the early days.
100%. Yeah. And I think I'm really glad that you came up to talk as well, Bud. You know, everybody loves your perspective, and I really love your perspective, and I really respect you as an individual. And I think, you know, when you talk, people really listen. Well, at least I certainly do. So having these discussions, I think, is really very important to. I mean, it's really helped center me a lot as well. It's really helped because in some way I'm like maybe a little bit naive trying to take on all these perspectives, and then it's almost just like just focus on the positives. And what you said about Jesus not giving like, you know, the negative energy any voice, like I think that's really important. Like the Bible, there's truth to all of these things about how we should live, how we should be, but it's very difficult to live and be that way, of course. And especially like just 1 minute, 30 seconds in those spaces, and your whole being just gets ripped apart. Your mind gets ripped apart with just contradictions.
Yeah, that's why I told you yet, like in that stream yesterday, man. I have to avoid that. I'm trying, like I said, man, I'm trying to be the best version of me, and I can't emotionally take that stuff. I get angry. I'm just a flawed person, right? And so I know for my own sanity and in order to keep my balance, I can't allow that stuff in. And it, like I said, man, it's just so irritating that there's people out there that believe it's a zero-sum game. Like, I win and you have to lose. That's not how it is. Everybody can win.
That's what I haven't been clear on how that's possible with Pulse Chain, but I've always felt that that's a possibility with Pulse Chain. We did just have somebody, Colin came up and then disappeared again. So maybe Colin pressed the wrong. Oh, here we go. Colin, here we go. Let's add Colin up on the stage. So Colin, what's going on, bro?
Hey, I'm getting these echoes. I don't know if that's from my end or not.
Not too sure, because you might have the stream open as well. Maybe close the stream so you can listen in with what we're saying here directly. Yeah, normally you'll get an echo if you've got the YouTube video playing as well, and then you're in here with us. It's going to be like you'll get a feedback. So if you close the YouTube stream, then it should be fine. You all good now?
There we go. Is that cam on though? Or did I? Oh, there you are.
There's no camera now. So basically, all I see is like a cool little logo that's like a C.
Dude, that's the graph one, man. I was doing a video on that.
What's that?
Hold on.
Are you trying to put your video on, are you, Colin, or?
Sorry?
Are you trying to put your camera on? Is that
yeah,
what
I was trying to put it on here. It's got this thing from my software that I was using for videos earlier, I guess. Swear, maybe I turned that off.
Maybe if you want to, maybe what I'll do is I'll put you backstage until you kind of figure that out, and I'll be able to see.
Yeah, I'll have to just I'll rejoin it. Maybe that's what happened.
Yes, give that a try. Give that a try. Okay. Yes. So we'll wait to see what he has. And again, if anyone else wants to come up here and contribute to the discussion, please feel free to do that. So I think that this is a really healthy, positive discussion. And I mean, even talking about these things really makes me feel quite calm and makes me feel more conviction in the direction that we're going, and more depth of belief in what we're doing. So yeah, I think now it's really, I brought up the chart before as well. Like the chart, I mean, look what it's doing as well since we started this stream. Like it's doing all right. It's doing all right. Yesterday it was all the way down here. It's doing all right. We're back up to almost like a third of a cent. So pretty interesting stuff.
Well, I think Somi's helped with that. I think your streams have helped with that. I think, you know, giving people the confidence and sharing all of the knowledge that you guys have been collecting and sharing, and just being a reinforcing agent in these pretty difficult times. I think, you know, you saw Max FUD, and now it's starting to break free, and people are secure enough to say, okay, you're not shaking me out.
Yeah. And isn't that cool? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful to really think that like that video that Sommi did at the start? Like, I'm so grateful for Sommi, because even my, like, both Sommi and I also got really shaken up by this. And then I went to bed. I went to bed for like an hour, and then I woke up and I saw a thing from video, and it's just like, I'm going down with the ship, and I'm like, fuck yes, Sommi, I'm with you, brother. But now we're rising up with the rebellion. So, Colin, what's going on, my man? We can see you now.
Hey, yeah, I guess there was a selection there where it selects what video you're using, and so I got this demo creator thing that I used for creating videos, and it had that selected, and some other slide or picture image in there that I had, and I was doing a graph video, and so that was selected. I was like, what's going on with this thing here? I was like, what's been that long since I used StreamYard or something like that? I was like, the heck? So I figured that out, but I went and I saw the drop down there. But yeah, no, it's good. Everything's good. Thanks for, allowing me on here.
Yeah, my pleasure. What
neat.
kind of things did you want to say? What did you want to share? How's this whole thing making you feel at the moment?
Yeah, it's probably no different than a lot of other people, or a lot of yourself as well. Being in, experiencing this shaking up. I've said this a few times to people, and I've seen this actually to my wife earlier, is, the emotions in crypto, or the emotions in trading, they're real. And anybody that says that they do not experience emotions, they're lying, man. I mean, I don't care how much patience and rest that you have. It says, okay, I'm taking it easy. We may not be, I don't know about you guys, right? But probably very similar, right? But may not be scalping. We're not scalping a Forex market here, or doing any day trading, or even any swing trading. This is what I was saying earlier is, hey, now that I learned how a lot of this stuff really works, I'm doing a macro trade here. I'm trading the cycle, like Somi, teaches, but we're buying in the depression and we're selling in euphoria. And our trade is like a few years long, really. But we still get shaken up by the emotions. And it's real. Absolutely it is, right? And, there's a few times I've thought about this too, is, when we're done, when we get through this and we get through the other side, and this, we get through this market cycle, there are going to be people that are going to say, wow, man, you got lucky. Oh, wow, you lucked out on that one. And I'm going to be like, man, you call that luck? Do you understand what we had to go through, for 3-4 years? Do you know what relationships take a toll, and, our emotions and our psyche and what we go through? What do you mean I get lucky? Like, this is real stuff here. And, I like what Somi said. I was listening to one of his videos, I think it was earlier today, that, we don't have these dips anymore, right? We don't have these 30% dips. Like, what's 30%? 30% don't phase anybody here anymore, right? So we got to have this 80%, 90% crash, and then another 90% crash, and that's what we got to experience, because the 30% doesn't do anything anymore. And yeah, so it's real too, like what Bud was mentioning here. We can't give this attention to this evil and this chaos that's speaking up. You got to put that aside. And that's what I try to do for the most part too. That's why I don't, I'm not on a lot of streams or a lot of listening to a lot of noise that's going on out there. And and it still
Just a quick
still
question.
affects me, right? FUD is real too, right? So you gotta be careful with that.
On that though, Colin,
sorry,
may I just ask on that what you've just mentioned there? How do you navigate? How do you navigate trying to be objective, but then also getting to a point of saying, all right, I'm blocking out that noise and I'm sticking with my thesis and I'm going with my thesis? How do you navigate that in your mind?
Yeah, it's that's difficult because to be honest, like I even myself, yesterday I'll admit I sold some, not all of it. I sold a little bit of what I had, and the reason was but I bought back in too again, right? I went and I bought back, right? Because part of it was because it was late at night for me, and then all this stuff that was going on, and when you're tired, you don't think straight, and you're kind of like off your game a bit, right? And then so it was late, and I did a couple or a few sales because I in a couple or so different wallets, just little bits, right? And then my wallet thing wasn't selling for me, and I was like, oh, what the heck, man, I'm too tired. So I went upstairs, and then I saw some more tweets. I think it was with Richard, and I was like, this is really frustrating me, man. I'm like, why is this guy being like this, or what's going on? And I'm like, okay. Then I came back and I sold a little bit more. I barely sold half of what I had. Like, you know what? I'm gonna do the smart thing, and I'm just gonna de-risk a little bit. And I did that, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up, and it was this morning, and I think also it was you, and I heard a little bit of what you had, and then I heard a little bit of what Sommi, and I'm just like, you know what, man? I got to stick to originally what was going on. I went and I came back and I bought more. I bought what I kind of rebought what I kind of got rid of. I said, I got to stick with what my original thesis was. Like you're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, you got to do your research, and you got to understand that if FUD is FUD, FUD's FUD. You got to be careful with that. So you got to stand on what you first believe on, and then try not to let a lot of noise distract you. Right? So like what do I mean by that is if you got to step away from all of the YouTube videos and all the Twitter and all of that kind of stuff, step away, right? And that's why I like AI a lot right here. When it comes to a lot of different YouTube videos, find out a few people that are like yourself that have the best interest for people, right? I like Sommi. He teaches stuff, right? He's done a lot of good teachings. It's not just hype, right? And trying to get people into coins and shilling everything, right? So, you can receive some information and then try and block stuff out. So if I use the AI to try and get the timestamps or try and get a little bit of what's in there, instead of having to sit through hour-long videos and everybody's video and try and get everybody's take on something, that's too much for me. I can't take, plus with ADHD, I can't be with I can't take everything from everybody out there, because that will destroy you. And I learned my lesson with that was, and like I said though, I mean, FUD can affect you, emotions affect you, they're real, right? But I remember back, that's the reason why I wouldn't sell everything, was because I learned my lesson with FUD with that was back with Hex, right? I didn't know anything. When I first started, when I bought Hex, when it first came out, I think it was like January, February of 2020. And I was really just I was in crypto for a little bit, but I still knew nothing, right? I tell you, in February 2020, I couldn't explain to you Ethereum, right? I remember someone asked, well, what's the difference with Ethereum and Bitcoin? It's like, well, I can't really explain it too well. And so that there, I knew I got to go and study this. If I can't explain this, what the heck? And so I studied it, right? But I let FUD get to me with Hex, with people. And then I end up selling it, and getting into this other project. I had large liquidity. It was similar to Hex. And then I realized, well, that wasn't smart. And I watched Hex go to the moon because I bought it early, right? Like, I mean, with what was it, like 4 zeros and a 1 or something like that before Hex took off. And then so when it eventually got to 1 cent, I made, some good money. But then I sold and watched it go even further. I was like, what the heck? Who'd I listen to for this? So you learn your lessons on that, right?
It's one of the things that you mentioned, which I find to be the most difficult thing, is the emotions, navigating your emotions in all of this. Like, we're human beings, and I think there's an inevitability. Like, I try my hardest to develop my emotional mastery. I think that's really, really important to have. And it seems to me like the people who navigate these markets the most successfully are the ones with the most emotional mastery. They're always doing opposite to what everybody else is thinking. And this is what Sommi is showing us in real time. But even he got fudded out and he sold, but then he rebought back in. He reassessed. He's like, no, this can't be right. Like, my whole channel is about going against the crowd, and I'm now going to go against that. And I'm like, just seeing the strength of that. Like, it's as strong as we try to be, sometimes walking away is the best. And if, like Steve York yesterday, I mean, he made an excellent point. The people who are really going to get fudded out are the people who put too much in. So if I've only just put a little bit in, I've put my lottery ticket in, none of this fear and FUD should be like, it should be affecting me. The upside potential to the downside potential, it's like asymmetrically way stacked in the positive favor, way stacked. So why should I change my thesis because of this chaotic confusion when half of the facts are saying my thesis is still correct and the other half is saying, no, it's wrong. So I'll just stick with it, take the coin toss and stick with it. And I'm going to go with what my original heart told me. But it's very difficult to get emotion.
Oh, no, absolutely. I agree. And that's the key right there. That's what I wanted to mention too, right? Is, when you do your research and you understand what it is, right? Like, I went to, I was already buying into pDAI, and I knew a little bit, but I didn't fully understand a lot of it. And then I started going on the pDAI website, right, and watching and listening to the videos on there, right, and starting to understand a lot more of it. And I tell you, I got really excited. I was like, wait a minute here. You know what? This really makes sense. A lot of it was starting to make more sense to me in understanding how. Like, I was thinking about that. I said, you know what? Before I was questioning, even wondering, like, how the heck is this stuff, even PLS and PLSX and that, how are these even going to go like so skyrocketing high with the amount that's there and with everything? I was like, how is that going to work? And then I started listening and really understanding pDAI from the website, from the videos there. And I go, wow, you know what? I understand a little bit better on how he could actually use with these collateralized assets and use the funds to fund the collateralized assets with pDAI. And then all of a sudden, the rest of them, Pulse and PLSX, they could end up getting just pushed up because of everything. I said, wait a minute. A lot of this is starting to really make a lot more sense. And then seeing how Richard Hart, could possibly, no guarantees, right, could really be a lot in behind with this, right? But then so then when I got those tweets or I started listening, I was tired and it was late at night and I seen that kind of stuff. And then that kind of really shook me, and affected me, right? It confused me. I was like, what the heck? This doesn't make any sense. But then listening to Somi and, like you said, he got shaken out too. He said, and when I heard him say that, I sold, but then I bought right back in. And I was like, wow, you too? Wow. So you're not invincible either, I'm like, wow, okay. You know what? This is real, and this is it. And like you said, with your lottery ticket. And for me, I was starting to I was getting out of there. That's the thing. I was getting out of the lottery ticket size, right, with pDAI. So I was just like, okay, this is really cool, right? And so I got up there a lot higher than other lottery tickets that I hold with the meme coin or whatever. The other lottery tickets, they're a lot smaller than my pDAI bag. And then when pDAI went up to 3 cents, and then it started coming down a little bit, and then when it comes back down to these levels, that's what, you know, got your emotions, because you're looking back and you're going, man, look at that. It was way up there. I'm mad that I'm mad that, you know, I didn't take profits up there with that. But when it was up there still, you're just like, this is still cheap, you know? So why are you changing this now then?
Yeah. And you know what, even about the whole taking profit thing, I mean, I know that, you know, one of the things that Richard teaches is, this is an interesting thing as well. Like, we cherry pick the things that Richard say. So one of the talking points that we've cherry picked is don't trade. But you know what? These guys who are spreading the chaos appear to me to be the traders of all the tokens on Pulse Chain. They're the ones that are pushing prices this way and that way. So I really thought about this. It's like, okay, don't take profits, but now look at this. Imagine if I had taken profits, and look at these sales that are happening now across Pulse Chain, even if you're not even looking at pDAI, across Pulse Chain. So it's like, I'm it doesn't mean I'm going to sell my full bag at a certain percentage, but it's like, you know what? I think I need to really start being a little bit more intelligent in the way that selling a little bit, just getting that peace of mind, getting your initials out, just getting that peace of mind, just even that. If you got your initials out, you cannot be losing. And so all that we're doing is we're being sold this idea by certain people of like, yeah, don't trade, don't do anything. But then people are trading on top of us, and they're the ones that keep taking all the gold out of the jar, and the rest of us just keep getting pulled up and down with the charts. And I'm just like, do I want to continue that anymore? I'm not sure it's wise. It doesn't seem wise anymore. So that's even something that I'm reassessing with this whole dip. It's like, I think it's not a bad idea to be taking some profits on the way up, because it's, I think even as a mind thing, keeping calm, maintaining emotional stability, I think it would be very, very important. It's something that I've really felt, particularly in this last week or two. So,
well, yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, if you're up like 10, 15x, right? Is there something wrong with, you know, taking it, you know, even if you take your initial out, or if you take half of your initial out or something like that, you know, like that's nothing. You still got, like, depends how far up you are, right? If you're up 10x, you still got your 9x. It's like, come on, man, you know, that's still good. And then you just let it ride, right? Or you're doing there 1% a week or every couple of weeks or something like that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And I think another thing, I think you're right. You know, a lot of people that are doing that swing trade with that, and then trying to, okay, let's push it down or do what, if they're able to do that and cause this FUD for that to happen. And other people that are just mad, I think, is because look at all the excitement that was going on over the past few months, and how fast when pDAI really started to climb. Well, there's a lot of people that were probably new people that were coming into pDAI, and they were probably buying anywhere from 2 cents to all the way up to 3 cents. And now it's dropped down, and they let the FUD affect them, and they sold at a loss. And so now they're mad. And so now they're attacking Somi. And now they're attacking anybody that has to do with pDAI, right? And because they're mad about that. Just like the same people that, for example, wanted to have nothing to do with Bitcoin when Bitcoin was even 16,000 back in 2022. It's like, oh, crypto, you guys are crazy. Look at this. This is crashed like this. And now Bitcoin gets to 100 grand. Now they all want it, right? And then Bitcoin drops down to 80 grand. And they're like, why is it crashed? Or it's crashed, you know, not even 80 grand, but I mean, like, now it's at what, 84. But when Bitcoin crashed down to $90,000, you remember hearing all of this noise with everybody crying? It's like, look at how bad it crashed. It's like, wait a minute, you guys, where were you? Like, not even 2 years ago, Bitcoin was like $16,000. And you're saying that it's crashed and it's finished at $90,000? It's like, what's the matter with you? Like, And then like to think of that, it's like people are so mad because it's crashed at 90 grand. It's like, it's unbelievable, you know? And so then they're like, no, it's the bear market now. It's like, no, you haven't figured it out yet. It's not the bear market. And it hasn't crashed at 90 grand. And so the same thing with pDAI. If it went up to 3 cents and people are getting excited because now they want it, and then it crashes down to 2 cents, they're weak hands and they're upset. So they want to now lash out at somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, that's where we really have to be able to discern with clarity and with a pure heart, what are the intentions behind a person's word? And you can really get a sense for, you know, when people are blaming, you know, where the energy, like there might just be 1 or 2 words. And if you're really clear minded, you can even feel the vibration of those words. Even as you read the tweet, you're like, okay, this is coming from a place of blame from their heart. So they're looking for someone to blame for the pain that they feel. And this is what humans do. We can't accept responsibility for our own actions. We don't want to be the loser. I'm always right. I'm the greatest. I know everything. Like this is like the foundation of the human mind, to think that I'm the greatest. So yeah, you can really see that. You can see the greed from where people are coming from. You can even see like these people that are trying to deliberately cause chaos to force prices down so that they can scoop up lower, so that they can be big accumulators. And they'll probably be the same ones that are talking about how great this narrative is as it's going up. They might not talk about it openly, but they'll share tweets about positivity and, oh, you know, I was objective the whole time, and then they'll sell the tops on everybody. So yeah, really being able to discern where those intentions are coming from. And, you know, what you were talking about, Bitcoin and this bias of, you know, now nobody wanted to buy it back then. I mean, we had the pizza guy and this, like, what a, just the irony of this tweet from Bobby Lucas, the Bitcoin maxi, the irony of this tweet. I want to read this again because it's so good. He's saying, I'll pay 10 billion hex for a couple of pizzas, like maybe 2 large ones. So basically he's saying it's worthless. But here's a Bitcoin maxi. So at one point, somebody sold tons of Bitcoin for some pizzas, like maybe 2 large ones. So I have some left over the next day. I like having leftover pizza to nibble on. If you're interested, please let me know. We can work out a deal. So I was just like, the irony of this tweet, that he's basically criticizing this thing that is now at the point where the thing that he loves was one day. We're going through that now. So the upside versus the downside is really the most important thing to me. So yeah, look at this. I want to just look at this as well. Again, nothing against these boys, but the positive vibes, fam. Let's just stick with the positive vibes. I think these guys are trying to do something good in here. Execute pDAI mint. There is some good discussion from devs, but when I went in there and saw the same people that I've seen in other Twitter spaces, and I saw them or heard them talking over each other, I was like, no, I'm out. I'm not in there. Hopefully someone can summarize that. I've actually got someone who's going to summarize it for me. So yeah, I think really being mindful of people's intentions is a really, really important thing. So
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you know, we just got to learn. You know, we got to learn, take, you know, things as learning, all these as learning experiences, right? You know, like you're mentioning, hey, you know, when it's up there, no, I'm not going to sell it all. No, I'm not going to sell, you know, huge bags. But hey, there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit of profit off the top, because then if it does dip down, you're fine. And that's the key too, right? Is when you do some research on something, not only do the research, see, when you do research on something and then FUD happens, you have some strength to stand on against FUD. But then if you were to buy in, you're right, we buy the depression and we sell the euphoria. If we were to buy at low prices, you know, then buy at low prices and buy with the amounts like our lottery ticket size, then we're fine. You know, if we have our core coins and then we throw a little bit into something like pDAI or Atropa or Teddy Bear or something like this, and if it does go to zero, that's fine. We got to have that mentality. You got to understand that. I listen to, and I don't listen very often anymore these days. Is I listened to something that B-Root said. Actually, I was listening to that there today. He was, you know, when he was saying this, he's in his car there where he's doing his yelling there, talking about Do I care or something, right? You know, like, oh, I made all this money off of pDAI. Oh, if it goes to zero, I'm not wrecked. Would I care? Does it go to zero? Would I care? No. Listen, he was in, well, he was did like 6,000x, he was saying, right? So I know he was one of the very first, right, with pDAI, talking about it, buying it, talking about it. So he got it very, very low. Now, smart thing, right? But then he also took profits. And that's what he said. He says, do you think that I never took profits? You know, I'm in something that does 6,000x. Do you think I never took profits? Like, come on, guys. Do you think I care if it goes to zero?
Was that
sure
Moon
he'd
King?
be disappointed, right? But he took profits. That's the whole point, is he did something smart, you know? And so we got to recognize that too, right?
Was that Moon King?
Yeah, you call him that? Yeah. I mean,
B Roots.
Yeah. B Roots, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's a very intelligent. He plays this game very, very well. So
Yeah.
everybody's like attacking him, like that he believed in this. So what? He stood for what he believed in, and he put his voice out there to be criticized, and he stood up for it. But he took profits on the way, so he's still a winner. He's still a winner. That's the thing. And I think again that lesson is like, this is important. So it's kind of, it's difficult because it's like, well, if we sell on the way up, it's going to slow down the rate that it's going to get there. But you know what? There's going to be people selling on the way, and they're usually big players. So again, we're just enriching all the big players, and then the little guy gets left behind all the time. So I think it's really important to take these lessons from people as smart as B Roots and sell a bit on the way up. Sell a bit on the way up. I mean, it's just intelligent. Keep your mental health in check so you don't get freaked out by these things. And then you might even have a little bit of spare to buy the dips if you still believe in it. That's the beauty.
Yeah, well, that's true, right? And that's what I mean. Like, we can learn from that. If we didn't take profits on pDAI, it's our own fault. You know, when you got a guy like that, and he tells you, look, you think I care? You think that I didn't take profits? Come on, like, think about it. Of course I did. You know, buying from the bottom all the way up to top on something that's doing 6,000x. Well, another reason why we don't take profits is greed, right? And especially with pDAI. Hey, we're believing in the narrative. We're believing in the narrative. Okay, $1. Why am I going to take profits at 3 cents? You know, it's going to $1. This is too cheap, right? That's what I thought, right? Too, right? Man, it's going up to $1, man. Why am I going to take profits? You know, even no matter how many X's I was up, I didn't take profits, you know, and then it comes back here. You're like, okay, that was a stupid idea, right? Because, you know, even like with the PTGC, right? You know, I took profits on that one. I took my initial out on that one, and it still went up 30x after that. And I was like, damn, you know, I was like, I took my initial out, and then it went up 30x, and I was like, that was a lottery ticket too, right? Like that one, like, I don't care. It could go to zero. Like, that literally was a lottery ticket that actually exploded on me. I was like, no, that was cool, you know, but why don't I apply that on something else, right? And that's the whole point. So we can learn from that the same way. Now, other people that are new coming in need to learn not to buy it at the top. If it's at 3 cents, it's never been to 3.5 cents. Why are you buying it at 3 cents? You know, I don't care what this is, it's going to dip down. Wait for it to dip down a bit and then buy it, you know, and buy a little bit. That's what you need to do. So people can learn that, so that they're not in that position of buying high, it crashes, and then you sell it. Why do you sell it? Do you not believe it? Because this is a believer cycle, like Sommi says, like, man, it is a believer cycle, you know?
Yeah, and again, like, too many things not adding up. It's not infinitely mintable, even though that's one of the big talking points of the chaos spreaders. If it was, this just crashes. It doesn't go up and down, and then it just crashes. It doesn't do this. The supply just gets drained straight away. So this is, it's insanity.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's true.
Exactly. So look at all of them that it happened to, but they're still believers buying.
Yeah. I think it was
Even
your
without
video
the
there
believers.
this morning that I caught you know, when you're talking about that the Vietnamese guy there, right? That
the supposed scammer.
yeah, and you know, it's like, so I caught a bit of that, and I was like, oh, is that what that was? And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, and as you mentioned, these scammers don't come out and do all this. I'm like, yeah, it's true. That don't make any sense, you know. And then I'm going and I'm look closely, or look a little bit closer again. Look at Richard's tweets. No, hey, I don't know the answer. Neither do you. Neither does anybody. But then again, what's with the question marks too, right? And what's with the way he's doing things? Yeah, a lot of this stuff, it doesn't add up. So a lot of stuff just doesn't make sense. And because so much things do not make sense, the only thing that you can do is just to remain on your original thesis, and either it goes up or it goes to zero. But you got to play it with that, with our mentality that this was that lottery, you know, that this is our game. This is it, you know. And,
Yes, very, very well said. Completely agree. So, look, Colin, I'm not sure if there's anything more that you want to kind of go into, or if anyone else wants to jump up, maybe just for a few more minutes. We'll keep this going. I do want to jump off very shortly. So, is there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about or share, or please feel free.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So it doesn't look like anyone
doing a
else
good
is
job,
joining,
man. So yeah, that too. By the way, you're doing a good job with all the information and everything that you're bringing out, and you're putting out for pDAI and Atropa and that. So keep up the good work with that.
Thanks, Colin. What's your on that? What do you feel about Atropa and Maria? Obviously, you've made your position clear on pDAI. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Atropa and Maria?
Yeah, you know, I'm not too sure. I still have Atropa. I still have some of my Atropa, you know, and Teddy Bear as well. I was thinking about buying more Teddy Bear actually, if I could, but you know, if you know more comes available, I'd probably one of the next ones I probably would, because of some of the things that were said of Maria wanting to save Teddy Bear, and that's going to be a good one. So hey, that was a lottery ticket too. That's done very well for me, you know, Teddy Bear. Well, now that it's down quite a bit, right? It is, I think, if it's going to do well, it's in a great position, you know, to grab some. Atropa too. I've had Atropa because it was doing the exact same thing as pDAI, and I was on the original narrative with pDAI and Atropa that it was Atropa that was really bringing pDAI up. I can't really explain that. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me on the with the liquidity and and buy and burn or something like that. I didn't really understand. To tell you the truth, I never really understood how all that kind of stuff worked. But looking and studying how pDAI works, you know, according to the pDAI website with MakerDAO and all that, that makes a lot more sense to me. The collateralized assets, right? But yeah, I never understood the Atropa way too well. But I think it's worth it. I think it's, you know, hanging on to a lottery size is perfect, is fine.
Yeah, even, you know, have you listened to Maria talk in Amsterdam or Zurich? Do you have a gut feel about Maria, and whether or not you think he's a scammer or a rugger, or if you think he's a good person?
Yeah, I don't think he's a scammer. No, like someone has mentioned as well before here, is they're too, she's that, or I don't even know, he's too well doxed, you know, like no, I can't see, I do not see, like, that there didn't shake me out, to tell you the truth. Like when I first heard that, I think it was that KDP's tweet. Oh, the dev for Atropa and pDAI is rugging live, and
With the big capital letters.
Yeah, and so then I went and I checked this out, and I'm looking at things. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Doesn't, whatever. I'm not selling nothing. It didn't phase me. None of that phased me. I was like, I don't think so. It just, that was my first thought was, so I got to go on that. Really is my first instinct and my first feelings with this was, no, there's no scam there. I can't see that. And then if all the liquidity is not drained, that's not a rug. There's no rug. There's only partial, and then it goes up, and then it's down, and going up. That's not a rug. A rug is like, boom, it's done. You know what I mean?
And he's come out and said recently as well that it seems like the MakerDAO contract is working as intended. So I heard that on one of Sommi's videos. So I also don't believe that he's a scammer. So I've always felt, mostly when I saw him talk, not when I see him type, it's very, like, his typing also gives me a headache in the same way these spaces give me a headache. But his speaking, the vibration of his words is like, it's a good person. So okay, all right. Yeah. There's tons of comments in here, so I won't be able to get through all of them. So it's really great that everybody's able to have this discussion. And you'll notice I'll never delete or block anyone's perspective. You're completely entitled, for the sake of freedom of speech, to say what you want. And then everybody's entitled to either listen to it or believe in it. And that's everybody's choice, because this is the freedom of speech, freedom of movement blockchain. So any closing words, Colin, before we finish up this stream?
Yeah, don't believe the FUD, guys. Stand on what you got. You're in with a right amount. You've done your research. There's no reason to fall for FUD. If your original, what do you call it, thesis, your original evaluation was to throw in amount and go with it. Either it's going big or it's gonna die. pDAI is going to be pDAI, or it's going to die. Either way, stick with it.
Love it. And for myself, let's rise with the rebellion. But it's not a rebellion of anger. It's not a rebellion of fighting. We'll make it a rebellion of love and results. Let's just keep putting out the positive energy. Don't get sucked into the negativity out there. It's going to keep being there. It'll be there till the day that we die. Maybe not till the day that we die. Maybe that sentiment will shift. Hopefully, my mission in life is to help shift that sentiment. But stay focused on your thesis and the intentions of what people are saying and where it's coming from those people. So let's just keep spreading that positive energy, and let's keep pouring the positive energy and the faith into the universe, into this, because for me, this means a lot more than just pDAI going to $1. This is really something so special. So let's hold on to this and let's believe in this, because something special can be birthed here on Pulse Chain for the sake of the world. So thank you very much again, Colin, for coming up. Thank you everybody else who came up previously. Again, you guys make this what it is. It's very, very fun for me when we have this positivity. I feel really good. And let's go all the way to the end, baby. Thanks, Colin.
All right, cool. Later.